Denied by destiny, trapped in the shadows of the mate bond. Chapter 1. Kaia's point of view. My own mate rejected me on our wedding night. As soon as I signed the marriage certificate and prepared to consummate our new life together, he rejected me. I, then Sable, Alpha of the Amber Desert Pack, reject you, Kaia Glace, as my Luna. I remember his cruel, cutting words as if they were only yesterday, but they weren't. His rejection of our mate bond was 2 years ago. Then, and I met at college. The noisy corridors of college seem like a lifetime ago now. So does the Than I knew back then. As soon as we returned to the Amber Desert Pack, he took on his position as the Alpha. I happily followed to become his Luna, as his mate. The words still resound in my ears even after all this time. Time I have wasted being a semi-Luna. Time wasted with a mate that doesn't even want me. The caring and supportive that I knew at college changed instantly as soon as we were married. He rejected me even before our wedding night, even before marking me. I've gone over and over again in my head what I must have said, what I did wrong, but each time I came up empty. Every time I asked him, I would get a grunt or an inaudible murmur, so I stopped asking. His complete reversal in character makes me feel as if I imagined our college days, as if they didn't even exist, and I was living in a dream world. An illusion. Our mate bond is non-existent. That's a lie. It exists, but he doesn't allow himself to get close to me, doesn't allow himself to be alone in a room with me. It's as if I disgust him, that it pains him to get close to me. I hate our mate bond. The very thing that makes my heart flutter as he enters a room, or the scent of roasted chestnuts that lingers on the furniture. Even his auburn-shaded hair, muscular alpha body, and hazel eyes I have come to hate. I hate the way the mate bond tricks me every day. For an entire year after our wedding, there was hardly a time that I saw Than, especially alone. He became exceedingly busy with pack affairs and used it as an excuse to stay away from me. I tried to solve the issue I may have caused, to save our marriage. I must have done something wrong, but when I found out what the real problem in our marriage was, I stopped trying. I gave up, because it was just too insurmountable. So, for the last year, I've remained quiet in the house he has assigned to me. In all honesty, I've grown tired of the life I lead. This wasn't the life I imagined for myself. I tried to communicate with Than. I tried to put across my case to leave the Amber Desert Pack, but he always said that there was still time. I'm not sure what kind of measure of time he was referring to, but I felt out of time. Anyway, it turned out that I was his Luna, but in reality, I was his imprisoned canary. However, I never gave up and ran, because I felt that my life should not be like this. And besides, I also had my own things that needed to be resolved. Kaia? His growl reaches my ears as I sit in my bedroom, an internal sigh escaping me for his disturbance. I walk out of my bedroom and downstairs, at first thinking I imagined his voice. Because why would he be here? But his lingering scent was the key detail of him actually being here. I walk into my living area to find him standing, his back to me. I can feel the chemical reaction of the mate bond trying to encourage me to touch him, to give in to that gravitational pull to once again experience those tingles that only a mate can give. I resist. What are you doing here? Never visits me. Why now? This is my pack. I can go wherever I want. His voice holds an irritation to it. He has clearly been in night training. He is sweaty and dirty. His white, tight vest now tinging on the gray side. His jeans muddy from being left on the ground. His auburn hair now shaved down, not the long, boyish strands I used to enjoy running my fingers through. He spins, his eyes turning a deeper brown as they flash at me. I'm only wearing a black slip. I thought I'd be alone as usual. No point dressing up for oneself. Then, Why are you here? I've incurred a slight problem. A slight problem? And I can help how? He doesn't respond to me, but he finds himself comfortable enough to walk into my kitchen and fetch my bottle of vodka. By the smell reaching my nostrils, he's already downed a bottle of whiskey this night. I won't talk to him like this. He can walk himself out. I head up the stairs, towards my bedroom, when I hear his footsteps following me up the stairs. I turn to face him on the landing, his peculiar behavior piquing my interest. His hand pulls at my arm, pulling me into him, his lips taking me off guard as they almost touch mine. It would seem I need to have a child. His voice is cold, holding some kind of resentment. A child? I hide my scoff internally as my wolf growls in my mind. She hates him for rejecting us. His eyes are on me now for my disrespectful comment. His aura increasing, an invisible command trying to force me to submit. He's always struggled to make me submit, and it gives me deep joy to know how much that grates on him. He doesn't know why. Can I ask why now? Where has this come from? Let's not pretend that you have any feelings for me, then. Why bring a child up in this unloving and toxic environment? I untangle myself from his hold and create some much-needed distance between us. The pack needs an heir. You are the Luna after all. He does what I was praying to the moon goddess for him not to do. He starts walking towards me, his prowling steps resulting in my spine to shiver. This man was your typical alpha. Tall, muscles, predatory eyes to help seal the deal. But it's the inside that sickens me. Yet there's as part of me that hopes I have it wrong, that there has been some kind of misunderstanding between us since the wedding. Because why would we be matched together? As he comes closer, his scent tickles at my senses, the roasted chestnut smell now mixed with heavy alcohol. He's in front of me before I can do anything, his hand stroking at my face. A deep gulp forming in his throat, as if it pains him to touch me. As soon as his fingers are on me, I want to moan with pleasure from his touch, from the tingles that I hadn't felt in so long. I'm entranced by the tingles that just naturally continue, as his mouth kisses the tip of my shoulder. He pulls at my black spaghetti slipstrap, running his tongue across the skin. A guttural moan escapes me as my head rolls back. I push my wolf away. Was it selfish of me to enjoy what was owed to me? What was destined to me? It's just a child, Kaia. He slurs on his own words as his hand grips at my neck, his hand angling my neck. A growl rumbling in his chest. Just a child? How can he say that? The mate bond was already weaving its magic. His closeness was doing things to me, his scent overpowering my thought process. I hated how the mate bond reduced me to this. Say yes. His lips are by my ear, and I have to bite down on my tongue to keep my moans in check. My body is lost in the lustful feel of his touch at my lower core as his free hand lifts under my hem and pushes my panties aside. His other hand remains at my neck, keeping me upright as his thumb now creates circular motions at my sensitive bud. Would a child make him love me again? Would a child bring us closer? I don't think so. How could I knowingly bring a child into a relationship where the father can't be in the same room as the mother? No. I gasp out, my body now fighting against the mate bond, waking up from its spell. No? He seethes in my ear, his hand tightening around my neck. No, I said no. I snarl at him, the tightness around my throat now hurting. I start to push on his chest, but he is built like a brick wall. He doesn't listen to my rejection, his hand continuing down below. Get your hands off me. I snarl at him, my teeth close enough to his face to bite, his jaw tense as his eyes glare at me. He pushes me back into my bedroom where the back of my legs hit against the bed. I lift my leg to kick him where it hurts, to snap him out of his lustful haze, but he blocks my knee with his pushing my legs apart. Still holding onto my throat, he pushes us onto the edge of the bed where I'm locked in his hold, using all my strength to fight it. His other hand is now blocking my punches and clawing attempts before I feel him grip tightly onto my hip. I hear him unzip his jeans, the denim dropping to the floor. Before I know it, he thrusts into me too hard. I can feel myself burning inside as he overstretches me. Something inside of me freezes, telling me that I want this child. The treacherous mate bond trying to convince me even now. Tears are flowing down my face as I struggle with his harsh thrusts. I'm pinned, not making any movement at all. His hand now off my neck and both pinning my body down. I can't look at him. My eyes are slammed shut. I know I'll relive this. I want the memory already gone. I'm not sure what the measure of time is, but it feels like an eternity before I feel him chasing his own release. Alora. He lowly growls as I feel him climax, his seed spilling into me. Tears escape me as I lay still. As he releases his tight hold on me, my hands clamp over my mouth to keep my sobs silent. Alora. She was the reason my marriage was a fake. She was my marital nightmare. Chapter 2. Kaia point of view. I couldn't sleep, not with him next to me. He hasn't moved, and I'm frozen as his arm lays across my waist, as if what had just happened was a happy thing for me. As if he were trying to keep me safe. My mind keeps going over and over what had just happened. Reliving every moment. He called out her name. Her name. Alora. She was the person that then loved deeply. She was the reason why he never gave our mate bond a chance. He has thrown it away for her. I don't even know who she is, where she is. All I know from snippets of information is that she was in a coma and then could never get over her. That's when I stopped trying to work on our mate bond. I couldn't fight against something so strong that it would overpower a mate bond. A mate bond that is designed by the moon goddess herself. I knew that no matter what I tried, how much I tried to change myself for him, I could never escape the curse of Alora. It was far better for my own well-being to just let them be. His use of her name whilst inside of me, as she lays in a coma, is enough proof that I will never be able to replace her in his heart. When he woke up, I pretended to be asleep. I couldn't look him in the eyes. Right now, Kaia. His voice calls out my name. My ears hearing it as if he were miles away, not sitting across the table from me. I didn't even realize I was lost in deep thought. I finally look up at him as he places his cutlery on the table, his plate just as full as mine. Also untouched. The constant rubbing of his forehead informs me that he has a heavy hangover and is feeling remorse. He starts to speak, his mouth open but his lips unable to form any words. I continue to look up at him, to see him in a distressed way when the door slams open with Zane rushing in, closely followed by Freya. Zane, now's not a good time. He growls lowly at the intrusion of his beta. An intrusion into my home. Something that was also starting to feel as if it were being taken away from me. Apologies, Alpha, but the pack doctor has news. You won't believe it, but Alora is showing signs of waking up. What? Van's eyes are wide as he jumps to his feet, sprinting away. As he hastily tries to leave my house, he doesn't even look back at me as he runs to the front door, followed by Zane. Their frantic departure leaves an unsettled feeling within me, my wolf trying to voice her concern. What will you do if she really wakes up? Freya quietly asks me as she picks up Than's plate and takes it into the kitchen. What can I do? I shrug helplessly as I push the plate aside. All appetite has completely left me now. I slowly stand up and willingly return to my room to be alone. My mind needed an outlet. It needed normality. To complete a task I had some level of control over. Turning on my laptop, I notice that I have received an email. Opening the email, it informs me that there was still no progress on the investigation into father. The email reads that there is a possibility that he might have been sighted at the Dark Phantom Pack. I haven't seen father since I was 16. Not since our pack was attacked, and he ordered my immediate departure. Closing the laptop, I look down at my wrist. I only now notice Than's finger marks still evident from last night. Nausea overwhelms me and I rush into the bathroom and vomit into the toilet. Needing to clean myself, I manage to step into the shower. My lower core is still sore from last night, from his overzealous actions. I wanted to wash him off me. His seed had overspilled and dried on my upper thighs. I turn off the water and reach for a towel. As I dry myself off in front of the long mirror, I'm shocked to see the marks and bruises all over my body. The most prominent on my neck and hips. How had I not noticed already? I'm littered with both physical and mental scars of what he has done to me. I must spend the next hour sitting at the edge of the bed, staring at myself in the mirror. Freya's words recalling in my mind. What will you do if she really wakes up? What will I do if she wakes up? If she never wakes up, will I be able to survive like this forever? Perhaps seeing her will help me to decide. Perhaps seeing her will answer some questions. I feel as if seeing her will shed some light on my confusion. I need to see her. That evening, I couldn't stop my curiosity getting the better of me. I know I shouldn't go. I should stay in my home, lock the doors, and keep myself to myself. But I couldn't help it. My intrigue was too strong. Against my better judgment, I left my house and sneaked through the pack, everyone fast asleep. The pack at its quietest. I dressed to disguise myself. I didn't need to bother with my hoodie. Not one person stopped me or even recognized me when I reached the hospital. Some Luna I was, I followed my wolf's intuition. Surely a person in a coma would be in the intensive care unit? I don't even know what she looks like. All I have to go by is the name Alora. Keeping my face hidden as much as I can, I locate the patient board to find her assigned to room 5. It takes me a few moments to build up the courage to enter her room. Was I being disrespectful? Visiting someone who was in a coma? No, he's betrayed me by choosing her over our mate bond. Denying my place as Luna because of her. I shouldn't be here. This was wrong. But I can't seem to control my own behavior. I nervously push the door open, my eyes darting immediately to the girl on the bed attached to a ventilator for breathing. This was the person that has captured my mate's heart so deeply that I never stood a chance? This was my competition? A girl that can't even breathe by herself? This is who he has been holding back on me for, on our mate bond. I slowly walk up to her, my hand already stretched out. My heartbeat becoming faster and faster until I get a closer look at the still body lying on the hospital bed. I take one last look at her before. As my eyes gaze upon her, my body freezes like a statue before my eyes have a chance to catch up. She looks exactly like me? My heart continues to race and my head starts to rush, a dizzy spell threatening to take over me. Is that why I'm here? Why I am in this pack? Because I look like her? Chapter 3. Kaia's point of view. She's my double, identical to me. Her skin isn't as olive-toned as mine. She's paler from having been away from the sunlight, from being stuck in this hospital bed. But there's no doubt that she is my double. My mind can't seem to process what my eyes are seeing. How was this even possible? I walk to the end of the bed, picking up her medical record to see what the hell happened to her. Then never speaks of her. Apparently never letting anyone get close enough to visit her. Reading the report, it says she consumed wolfsbane. Wolfsbane? What would have possessed her to do that? Wolfsbane isn't something you drink accidentally. It's a controlled substance. It's incredibly hard to get hold of. It's meant to be excruciatingly painful to consume, an unbearable pain. I didn't dare to stay here any longer. I mechanically put the medical record back and walked out of her room, off the entire hospital ward. I'm not even sure how I got back home. I must have gone into robot mode, my mind taking over as my body remained in a level of shock. I just feel like my legs are shaking all the time, only just keeping it together until I am alone in my own house. Once I close the front door, my mind and body finally reconnect, and I have to hold on to the wall for support. My legs finally give way as I slowly fall against the wall onto the floor. My legs tuck into my chest, calling out for my arms to embrace them, which I do. I provide myself the only support I'll ever get. I just sit on the floor trying to work on calming my breathing down. Why did Alora and I look so similar? She was skinny from being on life support. Her face sunken, but there was no mistaking our similarities. More than similarities, our mirror image. Wait. He approached me at college, made a point of introducing himself to me. Is that why? Because I look like her? Did he even feel the humming of our bond, the gravitational pull? Or did he only come up to me because I resembled his comatose beloved? I was an Alora substitute. I haven't moved all night. My back sore from having sat all night in the same position, against the hard wall. What was I really doing here? This question has been plaguing me all night. That's when I heard him. It must be the break of dawn for him to be outside on his way to training. Anger takes over me, my wolf using my bereaved state. Because I was in bereavement? Bereavement for a mate bond that will never be. For being tricked for too long. I saw her, I call out to him as I open my front door. He turns to face me before ushering his beta, Zane, to continue without him. Saw who? He walks closer to my house, but doesn't enter. I don't think I want him in here now anyhow. Alora. His eyes that weren't particularly interested in talking to me now dart immediately to mine. You have? He takes a step closer to me, his arm now raised and leaning against the top of my porch. Is that the only reason you spoke to me that day at college? Because I look like her? Yes. He answers too quick. Too cold-hearted. Does the mate bond mean nothing to you? I start to shake, my own words sounding higher than I anticipated. How could you? I whisper out. Well, now you know there is nothing to hide. He starts to back away, not even trying to fight for me once. Not even an apology, resulting in my anger boiling over. You're a fucking dickhead. I fucking hate you. Don't come anywhere near me or my house again. I scream out at him, slamming the door, unable to look at him any longer. 2 months later, I haven't seen them once in the last 2 weeks. Not once. Rumor has it that he's been by Alora's bedside every day and night. Freya also informed me that the signs of her reawakening are becoming more and more evident. I've increasingly been feeling more uncomfortable in my own skin, and with and being constantly at the hospital, it has afforded me a chance to secretly buy a pregnancy test. I've not had a chance to look at it yet. I've been standing here for 20 minutes, unable to pick it up from the sink. What if I am? What will that mean for this sick, weird love triangle I'm finding myself in? Come on, Kaia. We can figure it out together. Just look at it. My wolf encourages me to find the strength to check the result. With her companionship and support, I find the courage to look at the results. 2 lines. I gasp, my free hand clasping at my mouth. 2 lines. That's good, right? Means a negative? My wolf's voice sounds in my head. No, 2 lines is. I check the box again just to be certain. Positive. What am I going to do? The positive pregnancy test sat next to me all night on my bedside table. I couldn't keep my eyes off it. I had to check it numerous of times in the night to make sure I read the results correctly. Pulling myself out of bed, I knew I had to tell him. As much as I hate him right now, this child is still the pack heir. He'll either be at the Alpha home or the hospital, and I'd rather tell him without her being in the same room. Hence, I was already heading to the Alpha house first to check. As I reach the front garden, both he and Beta Zane head out of the front door together. I'm not sure what possesses me to do so, but I hide behind one of the large trees as not to be seen. Why not wait until Alora wakes up to have a child? We need an heir now, to strengthen the future of this pack. What if Kaia gives you a child, and Alora wakes up? Simple. The child is mine. And Kaia? If Alora wakes up, the wolfsbane has ravaged her kidneys to a stage of disrepair. Kaia will be the organ donor. She won't have a choice. The doctors already know the score. I stop listening, blood bumping in my ears, blocking out any other noise. Organ donor? For her? Chapter 4. Kaia's point of view. I watch them walk away into the distance, my mind spinning at what I had just heard. Kidney donation? I never thought that Than's purpose was to use my kidney to save Alora. This is ridiculous. So, from beginning to end, I was a meaningless existence to him. He only thought of me as just an organ donor, even though we were mates for Goddess's sake. He was only with me for a kidney. How could he be like this cruel? My brain couldn't think anymore, and the strong buzzing of overthinking was giving me a splitting headache. What little hope I had was shattered, and I couldn't find any reason to continue living. You need to remain strong. You are with child. My wolf's encouraging words filter into my mind. Yes, you're right. I wipe away my tears. I must stay strong for the baby. I couldn't just sit back and wait for death. I now have an innocent child to fight for. Suddenly, I feel as if all eyes and ears of the pack are on me, all serving then, spies all ready to betray me. I can't remain. I can't stay and wait for Alora to wait for my death. I can't trust anybody. I have no choice. Run. I must run. It's been a week since I decided to leave, and I haven't seen Then during this entire week. This morning, Freya said that Alora had physical reactions, showing more signs of her imminent reawakening. Thinking she may wake in the next few days, I planned my escape already, but have now pushed it forward to tonight. I couldn't wait any longer. At midnight, I waited until the cover of darkness to execute my plan of escape. I try my best to avoid places where pack members were on duty. I knew I needed to get to the gate, hoping the midnight shift change may be my opportunity to elude the guards. I'm using the path that runs adjacent to the training field, thinking no one should be training now, only to find them exercising with a warrior. Shit. I duck behind a tree, praying to the moon goddess that I hadn't been seen. They both stop, looking towards the wooded area, my heart thumping outside of my chest as I hide behind a tree. Kaia. His eyes scan the area as I feel him push on my mind link. Shit. He must have seen me after all. Closing my eyes to concentrate, I don't give anything away. I make it seem like I am asleep, not even attempting to push him out of my mind. Only moving again when he returns to training. Now changing my route, I manage to get close to the gate, remaining undetected. I watch from the shadows, waiting for the most opportune time to escape, when the hairs on the back of my neck stand up as I sense someone now behind me. What are you doing? Then finds me crouched down, a humorous smirk upon his face. Was my life funny to him? I'm leaving then. I'm not staying anymore. I stand up, straightening my back. I don't think so. He takes a step towards me, but is interrupted by the warrior he was training with. Alpha? Beta Zane says you need to return to the hospital. Not now, he says. She's awake? The warrior seems to not understand the own words relaying on his lips from the Beta's mind link. Then stares me down for a moment before spinning on his heel, his warrior following him. I am now left alone. This was my only chance. Her reawakening giving me a chance to leave. I don't give the pack grounds another look. I run straight out of the gate. I kept running until I reached the nearest city, It didn't take long for them to know I left through those gates, his warriors tracking me throughout the night. I managed to find a secluded coffee shop where I find time to rest. My feet are burning and my throat is dry from thirst. I am pregnant and have no pack. What should I do now? I'm not entirely sure, but I know no matter what challenges are ahead of me, I refuse to return to the Amber Desert pack. To Than. You aren't from around here. Which pack are you from? The silver-haired elderly coffee shop owner asks as he refills my coffee cup. He's been watching me for a while now, knowing I am not human like the other customers. No, I'm looking for someone. Someone who was last seen at a pack. Which pack? He mutters under his breath, keeping his voice low. The dark phantom pack? I shrug my shoulders, not expecting him to have heard of the pack, but I catch his eyes glaze over slightly into a mind link. What business have you with that pack? I'm trying to track someone down. Do you have a map? Can you show me the location? I ask with slight hope, but he shakes his head before returning to his regular customers. I remain for around another hour, the owner ignoring my attempts at making eye contact with him. He hasn't returned once to me, but has all the other customers. I return my used coffee cup to the counter, readying to settle my bill when the cute bell rings signaling the door has been opened. That's when the most intoxicating scent hits me. Burnt oranges with dark chocolate. The smell invades my nostrils, the scent causing my mouth to salivate. With my back on the door, I turn, but I already find a tall, strong male engulfing my frame from behind. I hear you've been asking about me. Chapter 5. Kaia's point of view. I hear you've been asking about me? The tall man smiles slightly at me, his eyes remaining on mine. Our eyes lock together as something inside of me doesn't want to look away. My head and eyes aren't connecting. Something is happening from the affect of his scent. Something I can't quite register. His eyes are gray charcoal, like the ash left over from an extinguished fire, yet still hold that ember warmth. He is well dressed, a slim-fitting black suit with a gray tie, which purposefully brings out his eyes. He was exquisite, groomed to perfection. My fingers are itching to run through his dark brown hair, to ruffle up the perfect hairstyle. I even clench my hands into fists to stop them from reaching up and touching him. It is only when he blinks, breaking the eye connection, that my wolf finally pushes through this haze that I have been caught up in. Mate, she screams for joy, her enthusiasm not quite as strong as mine, not just yet. Mate? How is that even possible? I match his slight smile, readying to respond when it occurs to me. Why isn't he reacting like me? He doesn't seem to be struggling to breathe like I am. He is composed, his hands normal, not even slightly clenched to prevent them from pulling me into him, from claiming me as his. He's acting as if everything is normal, as if I wasn't also his mate, as if my mere presence wasn't sending his wolf into disarray like it is me. I'd think I would have imagined it all. I am right, aren't I? I'm not imagining it. You were asking about me? Clears his throat, forcing me to wake up from the spell his presence has created on me. Presence has created on me. About my pack? His face now changes into a slight, playful expression. Your pack? I repeat, still trying to refocus. Yes, I am the alpha of the dark phantom pack. The alpha? It would explain his strong aura that has taken over the coffee shop. Even the humans are looking at him without realizing why. Their natural-born senses flaring up, which they now choose to ignore. It was clear he was a very powerful man. Only that I've heard about it, and was just curious. I respond, trying to sound unbothered about the information now. I had to be careful here. If Father was last seen at his pack, they most definitely would have met. This pack was notorious, and I was now standing in front of the alpha. I can't let him know I am related to Father. I'll have to continue to keep my identity a secret like before. Damn, yet I am now a rogue and need somewhere to stay and lay low. A place I can reassess my future plans without living like an actual rogue. I don't know why, but the Amber Desert and the Dark Phantom Pack have had a long-standing hatred for one another. They never mentioned the reason, in fact, refusing that the enemy pack should ever be mentioned. If this alpha found out I was from Than's pack, well, I don't want to think about it. I'll have to keep it hidden that I am from the Amber Desert pack. Perhaps I could join the Dark Phantom pack? I'm looking for a new pack. I placed some money on the counter, acting coolly, as if I were ready to leave at any second, his pack not being the opportunity I now desperately needed, even though it was classed as the enemy pack. So you are a rogue. He laughs out loud, his eyes continuing to watch me carefully. Do you take in rogues? Becoming a Dark Phantom Pack member requires a certain tests. He winks before his eyes glaze over. What kind of tests? I ask, my eyes diverting to a male walking through the coffee shop door. Strict tests. Extensive running, fighting, using guns, jumping from rooftops. The new male counts each test on his fingers as the alpha moves away from us, engaging in a small conversation with the coffee shop owner. He may be away from me now, but his eyes remain on me, readying to act. As if thinking I was going to run, little does he know I have nowhere to run. Underwater breathing. The new male catches my attention. Underwater breathing, whatever for? I cut the man off. These tests were absurd and something I just couldn't do. I couldn't even shift right now. I have other abilities I can bring to the pack. I offer to the male as his fingers remain held up high in front of me, as he has listed things I would be expected to do. Oh! The male's eyes scan to his superior before the alpha sits on a high stool at the counter and takes a sip of coffee. You really want to join my pack? His eyes brighten slightly as he blows on the steaming hot coffee. My wolf was still howling in my mind, almost whimpering as his wolf doesn't even recognize her. But things were different now. I needed a place to keep safe. A place to be protected from Than, because he will continue to look for me. I was Alora's lifeline. He'd never give up. Although the Dark Phantom Pack was known as dangerous, perhaps its reputation will afford me the protection I require. Perhaps being the enemy pack then won't think to look here. Yes, I reply after a small pause. I also need to find Father. This pack might hold the answers I need. The alpha jumps up from his stool with a smile that quickly turns into a serious expression as he once again closes in on me. I know who you are. Chapter 6. Hector's point of view. It seems things are developing faster than I planned. I locate my beta, Ezra, standing watch outside the coffee shop, one of many establishments that I part own. Entering, the doorbell chimes and the reported female is standing at the counter. This will be like taking candy from a baby. She's not even on guard. My men had reported Amber Desert warriors entering the nearby city, changing their coordinates throughout the night, apparently chasing a female that managed to elude them in the darkness and continuing to do so during the early hours of the morning. I expected someone a bit more athletic to outrun warriors. But then again, the Amber Desert training isn't as superior as the Dark Phantom's extensive program. When the news reached me, I couldn't resist finding some pleasure in the Amber Desert warriors' failure, demanding that my beta enter the city immediately to search out more information. And here we are, as luck would have it, that not only would she choose to take a break in a coffee shop, but a coffee shop part owned by myself. When my associate reported that she was asking questions about the Dark Phantom Pack, I just knew I had to meet her. Who exactly was she, and why has she left the Amber Desert Pack? Or should I say, run away? I'm intentional in the way I walk up behind her, letting my tall figure engulf her smaller, petite frame. Even from behind, she was extremely attractive. She had long, flowing, wavy, dark brown hair. My wolf starts to act oddly, almost arguing with himself in wanting her to turn around. "I hear you've been asking after me?" I ask, purposefully trying to get her to turn around. As she does, my heart stops beating. Air catches in the back of my throat. I can't believe it. She looks just like. But this female has a spark in her eye, a level of determination that starts to confuse my wolf. Her eyes were green, yet the closer you look into them, they seem to fade slightly into blue. A blue rim around her pupil. I can't help but continue to stare into her eyes. They hold some kind of self-belief in them. She was strong. Whether she knows it or not, I'll have to wait to find out. My wolf was stirring. Something about her was continuing to puzzle him. She was a cute little thing, her hands clenching into tiny fists as she seemed to be debating something with her own wolf. Did she honestly believe she could attack me? She's been inquiring about my pack, and I enjoy watching her try to answer my questions as she remains careful not to give too much away. I'm mindful of not mentioning the Amber Desert pack being the one she has run away from. I'd much rather watch her squirm for some time, enjoy her trying to think she has the upper hand. Perhaps I could join the Dark Phantom pack? I am looking for a new pack. So, she was now a rogue, as I thought. I can't suppress my own chuckle at already being able to read her. Do you take in rogues? Becoming a Dark Phantom pack member requires certain tests. What kind of tests? She asks as her eyes glance to Ezra as he enters the coffee shop, having already heard her question. I move away, walking to my business partner, but keeping my eyes on her the entire time. I don't think she would run, but I'm prepared to chase, in case she does. What did you tell her? I mind Link, my man, that is one of my eyes and ears in this city. Nothing, Alpha. She said she was looking for someone who was last seen at the Dark Phantom pack grounds. Looking for someone? My attention returns back to Ezra, who is busy counting cruel tasks on his finger. Underwater breathing? Whatever for. Her eyes finally leave mine to now concentrate fully on Ezra with a tone of perplexity. She wouldn't need to do any tests to join the pack, but not that I was willing to let her know that. She was coming with me, back to the pack main grounds, no matter what. She can think that she has a choice, but the truth is, she won't be allowed to leave. Not the Dark Phantom pack. Not this coffee shop without me. I continue to watch her. I can't help but watch her. She held herself with a level of authority that I can tell she was born with. Something like that you can't learn in life. Oh yes, she knew she was strong. My wolf starts to plot a plan in my mind. Something that could finally bring me what I wanted after all these years. Finally, the answer to all my prayers. And she's landed almost in my lap, a gift from the moon goddess herself. You really want to join my pack? I cut Ezra off as I blow on my hot coffee. She seems to take a moment to think she's more intelligent than... Yes, she replies, and a small smile enters onto my face, until I remind myself. She was now part of a bigger picture. She was trying to conceal her identity, that she wasn't from the Amber Desert pack. I was going to have some fun with her. Perhaps for now, I'll make her squirm just a little. I walk back towards her, my smile no more as I whisper into her ear, I know who you are. Chapter 7. Kaia's Point of View. I know who you are. His words whisper into my ear as he leans forward into my personal space. I turn to look at him, one corner of his mouth curling up slightly. How is it even possible for him to be this close to me, without him feeling the pull of the bond? All I can feel is that same humming vibration, the unmistakable pull to another. The sensation I have grown to loathe with then. Oh, I respond, trying to not give too much away. My shoulders pushing back automatically rises in a slight, panicky feeling rises in my chest. But I manage to suppress it just in time. I am preparing my body to deny my identity. to lie for my life. You were running from some warriors. Why? I have my reasons. I'm sure you do. His eyes narrow, his gaze piercing as his words leave his lips. He was a guarded individual, almost sinister. His aura is strong, perhaps the strongest I have felt since being with my father. Something was telling me not to trust him. Perhaps it was the fact that he wasn't responding to the connection. I'm not sure, but I had no choice. His pack served the only solution to my current rogue predicament, and it may lead me to more information on Father's whereabouts. He hasn't seemed to have figured out that I'm from the Amber Desert Pack member. At least that was something. His lack of information may bide me the time I require. A blacked-out car picked us up at the coffee shop, and for the entire journey this alpha sat in the front, not making conversation once. His beta, on the other hand, was guggetingly talkative in the back as a pack member drove the car. It wasn't until we arrived at the black phantom gates that the alpha uttered a word. And judging by the untrusting stares of the guards in my direction, I was the root cause of their anxiety. If they are this untrusting of outsiders, how the hell did Father manage to gain access? The car continues until we arrive at what must be the main hub of the pack. A large modern-built house with large glass windows is surrounded by tall trees to offer shade. No doubt, from the days of the hot sun. If it wasn't on the ground, I would think it was a treehouse. It was like something from the future. It was very open. It sat in the middle of two buildings, not as exquisitely built, but still not left wanting. The pack house for unmated wolves that choose to move out of the family home, and the pack hall, used for weekly meals, events, and childcare. The alpha speaks for the first time in an hour or two, pointing to each building as he explains their purpose. Here we support each other. No one is left alone. Alone? His words seem to resonate within me. As I continue to take in the inner pack buildings, a group exit the pack building laughing amongst themselves, stopping when they see their alpha before them. His presence seems to cut off their joy immediately. Was he a strict alpha? Alpha, they greet him, their eyes combing me with that some level of mistrust. With a simple nod from their alpha, they clear off, continuing on their originally course. A few of the females glance back at me with a look I can't quite read. The pack house is also used to house most guests. Ezra clears his throat, regaining my attention on the pair of them. I go to pick up my bag to head to the pack house, when the beta reaches down and picks up my bag for me. She shall be placed in the alpha house. The alpha orders at his beta, my eyes flickering between the pack house and the alpha house. I'll have less privacy at the alpha house, but it may give us a better chance to find information on Father. My wolf offers in my mind. I'll have to be exceedingly careful. He knows which pack I have come from. He might be trying to get information out of me, just as much as I am his pack. Walking towards the alpha house, I am just about to put my foot through the front door when the alpha stops and turns, his aura flaring up before me. Ezra, we need to prepare for the test, he abruptly demands from his beta, his eyes looking down at me, his expression unreadable. Test? I gulp. I thought we had cleared this up. I couldn't jump off a rooftop, not in my current state. Oh, yes, the test to become a pack member. Chapter 8. Kaia's point of view. Shall we? The alpha places his hand out, gesturing for me to enter his home. A level of uncertainty washes over me, but I ignore it. Right now, I have no other choice. Why do I feel as if I am entering the wicked wolf's den? The doorway is wide, yet I still find myself brushing past him. Surely he must feel the mate bond. But nothing, not even a sharp intake of breath. I pause at the bottom of the stairwell, the dark wooden staircase setting the tone for this house. I hope not for the pack also. I can't be in another pack like before, unable to trust a soul, unable to breathe. But maybe that is my path now, Mine and the baby's. Just the two of us. My office is this way. His voice echoes as he now stands down a hallway, waiting for me to join him. It would seem he was impatient and didn't like to be kept waiting. I glance behind. The further I walk into his den, the further I am away from a safe escape route. I have no choice. I will not go back, I remind myself as I follow him into his office. Alpha. Beta Ezra enters the Alpha's office just after we do. A black leather sofa aligns the back wall of the office, as his desk sits by a fireplace. This place didn't ooze much warmth. It doesn't have a feminine touch, which tells me he lives alone. Ezra places an empty gold goblet on the desk with a silver dagger. My heart quickens and I am unable to suppress the fear rising in my gut. Did they plan to use that knife on me? Silver will slice through me like butter. Calm yourself, the dagger is for me. The Alpha reaches for the silver knife and, suddenly protective of the life growing inside of me, I take a step back. A flicker of his eyes to jet black inform me his wolf is aware of my backing away. My heart is now straining in my chest as it continues to beat too fast, which I know isn't missed by him. My heart feels as if it is too big for my chest, and not in a good way. The Alpha's eyes remain on me continuously, even the Beta's. I feel trapped, my eyes flashing to the office door, only for the sudden smell of blood to make them turn back on the Alpha. His hand is clenched around the silver dagger's sharp blade, not an ounce of pain registering to his face. His eyes are locked on mine, even as his hand opens to show the blood gushing from his palm wound. I hold still, my wolf wanting to check the wound of our supposed new mate, whereas I am not so keen to show him warmth. Not when it won't be reciprocated. His hand now hovers over the goblet as drop after drop of his blood fills the golden cup. The smell of his blood mixed with his burnt oranges and dark chocolate scent creates an intoxicating perfume that tries to pull on my resolve. I don't understand. I thought you wanted me to complete a test? This is the test. I look from the Alpha to the Beta. Very few outsiders remain here. If you are to stay, then you must drink my blood to join the pack. His words confuse me. I thought I made it clear I was looking to join his pack. How was drinking his blood a test? By drinking my blood, I will become your Alpha. You must abide my rule. Yes, that is usually what an Alpha expects. He looks at me as if I was misunderstanding his words. You will no longer be a rogue. He quirks an eyebrow at me. Little does he know I've not even been a rogue for 24 hours. My hand picks up the goblet. Determination keeping my hand steady. I want this. I need this. As I place my lips onto the rim of the goblet, his eyes search mine for a last-minute hesitation. Wait. My wolf screams in my head. What? Then is the baby's father. How do we know this Alpha won't use that against us? Use us and the child as a ransom against the Amber Desert Pack? We don't, I respond in my mind. Is there a problem? He gives off that similar annoyance at being kept waiting. I can't back out now. We won't stay long. Once we find out where father is, we can leave. I've come along too far now. I won't go back. I refuse to. I tilt the goblet up, his warm, thick blood entering my mouth. I swallow it instantly. Repeat after me, Ezra immediately whispers into my ear. I offer my allegiance to the Black Phantom Pack and its Alpha, Hector Kaia. I let the blood settle in my stomach, the lingering metallic taste sitting on my tongue. I offer my allegiance to the Black Phantom Pack and its Alpha, Hector Kaia. I look up at the Alpha before me, so his name was Hector. As soon as my lips utter his last name, I feel the powerful break of the Amber Desert Pack bond. A vacuum-type suction trying to drag me back towards it. It's so intense, my legs start to give way. He moves quick, catching me in his arms, My body fighting against the pack my unborn child is the heir of, and the new pack that I have given my oath of loyalty to. Vomit starts to threaten to rise from the back of my throat, from the pain of being stripped of the pack link I was never made Luna of. I feel of the dark phantom pack bond now replace the cold pack link of the amber desert pack. Once the pain and sickness reduces, I am able to support my own legs more, and Alpha Hector already seems keen to move away from me. Tingles had been erupting on my arms the entire time he was holding me, and like before I could curse the moon goddess for making me feel them. "Thank you," I mutter quietly as I straighten out my clothing, before looking back up at him to see if I had passed his test. A smile forms on his face as I feel the new possibilities of his pack bond running through my veins. This was it, my new chance. Welcome, Kaia. Chapter 9. Hector's point of view. As soon as she can stand by herself again, I let go. It felt wrong to touch another female, especially one that was Alora's carbon copy. But I am left feeling empty. I'm surprised at the tight, restrictive feeling of panic that enters my chest, causing me some discomfort as I see her in pain. I caught her as her knees started to give way, the fight of the amber desert pack bond trying to keep mine from taking over. I really didn't think she would drink my blood. She even paused, a moment of hesitation as the goblet sat on her plump lips. My plan almost over as soon as it had started. She could have refused the test. Little did she know by drinking my blood she was falling nicely into my plan. But why was she running? There was no denying now that she was part of his pack. But now, I have her. She now belongs to the dark phantom pack. To me. Oh, the power I now hold over him. I can't wait to see his face when he realizes she is now in my pack. How I can use her to trap him and finally rescue Alora from his monstrous hold. He's an incompetent prick for letting her slip through his fingers. She is now standing unaided, my palm already healing itself from the silver dagger. Kaia. That is her name. That is what I could feel through the newly formed pack bond. Ezra, fetch Kaia some water and a chocolate bar. That's not necessary, Kaia calls out after my beta, but he has already left the room, following my command. You will need some sugar. You've been a rogue. You need time to adjust to a pack bond. Our pack bonds are hard to go against. She did well to fight off the amber desert one. But I didn't want her to know I was aware of this. It was better for my plans to let her believe that I think she is a rogue. I pull a chair out for her to sit on as I walk towards the other side of my desk. I half expected your wolf to claw at you to stop. You don't know my wolf. Interesting. What an interesting thing for her to say. It doesn't take Ezra long, and I insist she takes a moment to eat some chocolate and have a sip of water. She is looking slightly paler than what I imagine is her normal sun-kissed complexion, and I find myself watching her nibble on chocolate, fascinated by the similarities. I watch her. I can't do anything but. She's got the same dimples in her cheeks. There's only one reason he would have kept Kaia, because she resembles. Why were you running from warriors? I abruptly ask now that she is momentarily weakened. Overall, she was strong and I could sense she was capable of handling rudeness, abruptness, and aggression. She would have had to if she was in his pack. However, there was something about my wolf that wanted to be polite to her. She appears to have had a tough life. Not the same sheltered upbringing. I hadn't even realized. I probably just ventured too close to their land, that's all. She shrugs, finishing the sweet treat and creasing up the wrapper. I hold back a chuckle from her clever answer. She was smart as well as strong. I'll have to choose my words more carefully. Try to catch her off guard. I need to find out what I can about. I hope you settle in well to the dark phantom pack. Your rooms at the Alpha House will be ready shortly. My house staff will aid you with whatever you need, and I can get clothes delivered to you by the morning. There's no need. She cuts herself off as she looks down at the small rucksack by her feet. She packed light and had only just remembered. Thank you. I simply nod, biding my time a little bit more. I need to know. You resemble another female I've met before. I carefully watch her reaction, hoping it will give me more insight without digging too deep for now. I didn't miss the hike in her heartbeat from my words. She knows exactly who I mean. Is that why she left? Did something happen? Is she still alive? There's no one quite like me. Yes, now that I believe. Her words are resilient, but the tilt up of her chin informs me that she still has unfinished business with that pack and Alpha. How could she not? How did you become a rogue in the first place? I was betrayed, she whispers, as if it actually causes her pain to speak it. I watch her for a moment, her eyes purposely taking in my office. She was done with this conversation. Very well. Ezra will show you to your room and give you a brief tour of the pack by car. My house staff are here to assist you with whatever you need. Every Friday night, I open the hall next door for a pack dinner. It would be a good opportunity for you to mix. It's at 8 p.m. after our pack run at 6 p.m. Pack run? She looks at me with wide eyes before her eyes dart to my office door again. She's too deep in my den to run now. You don't like pack runs? It's not that, it's just, I can't shift right now. My wolf understands her words before me. Oddly, a slight whine entering my head from him. I'm pregnant. Chapter 10. Kaia's point of view. You are with child? Alpha Hector's hand goes to his mouth as he considers my newly shared information. I am. Will that be an issue? I ensure my back is straight. I didn't plan to tell a soul so soon, but I can't shift, and remaining here really was my only option for the time being. Have you seen a doctor? No. His words aren't what I was expecting, and they catch me off guard as I prepare to defend myself. Why was this rumored odious Alpha suddenly asking if I have seen a doctor? Did he actually care for my pregnant state? Surely once I am settled, I'll be left alone like before. That's actually what I craved right now. Some alone time to think things through. I will show you to your room, and will make sure my head doctor sees you first thing in the morning. That's really not necessary. I insist, he firmly states as he stands from his chair and moves away from his desk. He picks my rucksack up for me and leads the way. I am shown to my room by Beta Ezra, where he encourages me to rest and assures me that some clothes would be brought and left outside the bedroom door. I struggle to rest as I lay on the bed. My mind starts to work at full speed, considering my next step. Where Father was and why I was identical to Alora. How can two people look so alike but never have met before? I have to find Father. I have to find out if he knows about her. My mind in overdrive. Rest doesn't come naturally to me, and I am conscious of not keeping the Alpha waiting for dinner. Therefore, I head downstairs early to locate the kitchen and make myself a drink. With my mind's attention elsewhere, I spill the juice, completely drenching the kitchen surface. Grabbing a cloth, I wipe the beige worktop only to look up and find a female staring at me. And judging by her frown, she didn't appreciate me making a mess of her pristine workspace. Sorry, I'll get out of your way. I move quickly to leave no traces of my presence and get out of the room as her eyes glaze over, no doubt checking on my identity. No need. Can I help you, miss? She offers less frosty as her eyes return to normal. I just needed a drink, so I'm all good. I smile, preparing to walk away when she starts to converse with me about dinner. The Alpha usually picks the menu, but if you have any preferences, as his guest. As his guest? That sounded very formal. No. Whatever you have planned would. Wait. Does he have many guests here at the Alpha House? Not for some time, miss. Why? I'm trying to find someone that may have come here. An Alpha? An Alpha? I'm not sure, you'd have to ask Alpha Hector. Well, that I wasn't going to do. I'm not sure yet how trustworthy he is. I remain in the kitchen, even helping cook the dinner. I learn that the lady's name is Aubrey, and she has a mate and 2 young teenage girls also at this pack. By the time dinner is ready, I find myself missing her friendly demeanor. I am now sat at the opposite end of a long dining table. The only light being provided is by dimly lit candles. Did you get much rest? He finally speaks to me after reading his evening report and tossing it on the fine dining table. Not really. I've asked the head doctor to see you at 8:30 am tomorrow. I can take you. That's okay. If you point me in the right direction, I'm sure I can find my way. I was keen to walk around the pack alone tomorrow, to find out any information on Father. I didn't want to be escorted for that exact reason. I'm trying to understand how someone like yourself becomes a rogue. You're lucky you stumbled in my coffee shop. You weren't too far from another pack. Oh. Yes, the Amber Desert pack, in fact. Shit. My heart quickens, and I know for a fact he would have noticed. His mentioning of Than's pack has come out of nowhere. He stands and walks towards me, like a man on a mission. I'm a pack member now. I can feel his command preparing itself on me. His aura building. He stops before me, his tall, muscular figure overshadowing me once again. His eyes piercing into mine. Have you heard of their alpha, then Sable?